the consistency is there. Okay, I think I'm gonna stick to this. But anyway, first of all, let's talk about Beauty and a Beat, because this song has been causing quite the commotion and quite the chaos for the past week. Not in a bad way, in mostly a good way, but of course, people were not happy with how well the song was doing. So it is actually being reported that the song has managed to re-enter the Billboard Hot 100 at number 26. Yes, number 26, you guys. And honestly, I couldn't be more happier for the two of them. Congratulations to them for being able to do that. It's almost been over a decade, right? Like, how long was the song released? This is absolutely amazing on so many levels. Okay, that, yeah, the first time that the song was on the chart was in 2013. So they did that. They really truly did that. Congratulations to them. Still speaking about the Billboard Hot 100, another entry for the female rappers that is there is Doechii and Lady Gaga. So you guys know that they have a song out that's called Runway, and that particular song is at number 50. I mean, we spoke briefly about the song and how the fan bases decided to make it about Nicki Minaj once again. It wasn't the Babs, and this is why I say that a lot of these other people that do support other female rap girlies, it is less about supporting the other girlies. It's mostly to do with spiting Nicki Minaj. And you'll actually realize that a lot of these females do share the same fan base. That's why you hear them, the unity that they're always preaching. Oh, we don't compete. Oh my God, we collaborate with it. We don't compete. They do compete secretly, but they just cannot come publicly with it because they know that it means that their fan bases are going to be split because they share the same fans. They're all Nicki haters, and so they cannot afford to beef amongst themselves. And so it's important for us to know that it wasn't the Babs who came with bringing Nicki Minaj into the Gaga and Doechii collaboration thing, because the other fan bases were saying, oh, thank God Lady Gaga never collaborated with Nicki Minaj. Thank God she never liked Nicki Minaj. Oh, this is going to be gig worthy. Oh, this is going to do so well. Only for the song to be outdone by a song that was out more than a decade ago. Exactly. And I just feel like sometimes Nikki doesn't even need to say anything because, the results, the verdict will always come out, and who the greater, artist is always going to be out there. And I did hear already them making excuses saying that, oh, but it is a soundtrack. It's not, it's a soundtrack for a movie. It's not really a song. But you guys were making it seem like, oh, it's a song. So, it was this massive thing. So why are you now downplaying it? Why are you now trying to say that it's not a big deal, but when it was announced, you guys made it a big deal? It doesn't work like that. That being said, I believe Barbie World did better than that, and it was also a soundtrack. So I mean. But anyway, that being said, let's move on to the next thing that we're going to be talking about. Let us talk about Akbar V. One person who's always stayed loyal and vocal about, how she feels about Nicki Minaj is Akbar, because she was out there defending Nicki Minaj, and I do believe that this tweet was put out after the happenings of the Atlanta show, where Advocate BBL was recording herself screaming and threatening people and threatening to not perform, and she was just kind of echoing the same sentiments that we had on here, that certain people do get away with a lot of things, and they just try to shift the personalities and make it seem like a non-problematic person is the problematic person, and I just fail to understand what this is at this point. Are you guys being cooked in a voodoo pot somewhere? Because it cannot be normal the way that you guys give this girl a pass. So Akbar said, the person y'all say Nicki Minaj is, that's who them other bees be. Man, it's so sad how bees be so hateful to bees and be trying to play under them. Ish weird, okay? And of course, people felt like this was in reference to Advovo BBL and her antics and how she's always screaming and shouting. But somehow she is a saint. She's relatable. When she's doing all these antics, screaming and shouting, people will praise it and say that, oh, that's being real. But when Nicki Minaj even calmly checks one of her employees, oh my God, how dare you do that? You're so mean. But if it's Advovo BBL, obviously you guys are out there giving her a pass. And at this point, like I said, I don't even think this is about logic anymore, but it does feel like you guys are being cooked somewhere in a massive pot with roots. Okay, you need to pray and fast, because some of you really some of you, it does feel like you're getting cooked in a voodoo pot. Okay, anyway, let's move on to the next thing that we're going to be talking about. Keyshia Kaoir. Now, one thing that I have to give the Nicki haters is when they hype you up, whenever you're getting into it with Nicki Minaj, they do it so well, you begin to believe that you're all that. You begin to believe that you have fans. That's the one thing about the Nicki haters. They're so passionate. They put their everything in it, in hyping you, as long as you're going against Nicki Minaj. In that moment, you feel like you're on top of the world. I even heard some people convincing Keyshia Kaoir that she's prettier than Nicki Minaj. I'm telling you. That's how ridiculous they are. And I could tell that she also does believe that she's way prettier than Nicki Minaj. And I was looking at her like, ma'am, if you were to be restored to factory settings, I'm not sure, like, if people would have the basketballs to even stand there, or they would start running. So they will hype you up to the point where you feel like, yeah, you're the business. But the unfortunate situation is that after you're done going back and forth with Nicki Minaj, they kind of forget about you and they go back to how they truly feel about you. Meanwhile, you're still holding on to the fake love they gave you. By the moment you need them to defend you, they've moved on to another Nicki hater who's being actively who's actively hating Nicki Minaj in the moment. So I feel like if you're a celebrity and you get into it with Nicki Minaj, move on quickly as well from that, because you're not always gonna have the support, that you had. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, and I wish people would know that. Now, you guys know that recently Gucci was in the news for the snitchations. Okay, he was being accused on snitching on others, and you do know that for someone who was claimed to live with street card, that's something that's shameful. Now, when they recently had their first public appearance, people were not feeling Keyshia Kaoir at all. Not in real life, not in the comment section. People were kind of blaming her for what Gucci might have done. I'm talking about the snitching. And people were like, it's definitely her who did that. It's her who encouraged him to snitch. Oh my God. And I was like, this cannot be the same lady that you guys were hyping a couple of months ago. You would swear no one ever liked her from the beginning. And people were finally being honest about that interview, that they did with the Breakfast Club, and they were calling her out. And I'm like, I thought that time you guys were celebrating. Like, what's going on now? And that's that thing about the Nicki Minaj haters. You will think that you've got motion. You will think that you're all that. Meanwhile, they're just happy with you because in that moment, you're doing the job for them, which is to annihilate, in their minds, of course, Nicki Minaj, or to drag Nicki Minaj. I looked into the shade room and the neighborhood talk comment section. I was shocked, man. I was like, what is going on? What changed, you guys? You were just praising this woman. But anyway, finally, let us talk about sympathy, 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 sympathy. As we speak, I kid you not, somebody's out there writing a track, okay? And, a sympathy track about how black women are not protected, about how, oh my God, it's so sad that this has happened to me. And they're busy calling their stylist to come up with another sympathy wig, this time bigger than the one that they had last time. And the switch between Regina George and being victim for me will never make sense at all. I'm talking about Bongo 2. I'm sure by now you guys have heard the tea or the update about her case with Milagro. We all know that when she first filed that lawsuit against Milagro, the main intention was to get a heavy paycheck and, of course, to stop Milagro from ever speaking about her. She was kind of hoping that the Tasha K situation was going to happen for her as well, the Tasha K and Advocate BBL situation. But it appears the courts are also tired. I mean, if I were a judge, I would be tired at some point, okay? Like, just imagine how many frivolous lawsuits are coming from that stable. Like, it gets to a point where you're becoming obsessed. And it was really giving that. It was giving obsessed. It was giving she was obsessed. And I feel like that syndrome of not wanting any form of criticism, he got it from her mentor. I don't know if that's her mentor or whatever. I'm talking about Brother Billionaire, the title swindler. I do feel like that's where she got that syndrome from. It's a disorder of not wanting any form of criticism. It's not normal. It's not normal at all. And I feel like that entitlement to people's support and that ego, the combination of that will make sure that you're always in court, wasting your time. For what? And so it was kind of going to be a message to all media platforms that if you speak what you want to speak about us, we're going to get you. And that's exactly what they wanted to do with Milagro. In the end, they got what, 50K? They got 50K? Because what were you trying to do? And now Milagro can still speak on her. But anyway, it is actually being reported that Megan's injunction against Milagro Cooper in cyber stalking case has been denied by a judge, and the judge was like, "Listen, we cannot, take away Milagro's future, freedom of speech." For this, like, it doesn't make any sense, really, truly. But anyway, let me know in the comment section, you guys, what you think about that. I do feel like at some point, I mean, you should know when to stop, okay? You should know when to count your losses and just move forward. And I feel like by the time that she got that 50K settlement, she should have just moved on with her life, because now what? Just getting embarrassed for nothing. The power that you were trying to show you have, now we know you don't have. Now what? But anyway, one person who's celebrating about this is none other than academics. You know that recently he's been vocal when it comes to fraudulent nation and everything that pertains in it. And, he was celebrating really, truly. And I also do feel like the energy has kind of increased given that he recently revealed that they are out there striking his content. So let me leave you listening to academics, but I don't think that I'm going to be coming back after that. Yes, we're continuing with the commenting challenge until YouTube gets used to the idea that we're not doing short videos, okay? So please just say something in the comment section. I love you so much. Thank you. And you see, the consistency is back. Until my next one, see you.
After after uh the judge made it clear that she would not go forward with a dressing or actually putting what's called a permanent injunction, a injunction that would bar Milagro Cooper from ever speaking on her again. Now, there was something of the sort put in place against Tasha K for Cardi B. Remember, this idea is that basically Meg Thee Stallion and Roc Nation decided to spend $2 million to basically try to intimidate a blogger and claim that she defamed her because she wasn't like believing that Tory did whatever to her. And they took her to court for defamation, among other things, and the court actually struck down, or the jury actually struck down the defamation claim, basically because they said, hey, well, in reality, you never, she's part of the media, you never gave her proper warning that she was operating and she was doing things that was considered defamatory. So that was dropped. Meg Thee Stallion did win some type of judgment, but it had nothing to do with defamation. It was something about promoting a deepfake image, which supposedly Milagro had told people, oh, there's a video purportedly of Meg doing some stuff. Apparently the video wasn't even real, right? So that's what she did win for, but defamation got struck down. Regardless, Meg Thee Stallion has been desperately trying to win some type of legal, get some legal consolation prize to make people feel like it was worth spending up to millions of dollars to sue this woman. And according to the judgment, she only was awarded in the end pretty much like, I think it was like $50,000. So think about this, spending $2 million to get $50,000. That sounds like a really good investment, right? Of course. Now, of course, all the little Meg Thee Stallion and Roc Nation, shills, they were like, yeah, sue everybody. When are you going to sue ACK? Sue ACK next. Shut up, okay? Meg is a liar. I said it from day one. I'm going to say it till the end, okay? She wasted her money. She looks like Boo Boo the Clown, all right? And the judge, even though she was very, in my opinion, impartial and was biased towards Meg Thee Stallion, even she could not go to the lengths of granting motions of putting a permanent injunction, which would mean she could bar Milagro Cooper from ever talking about Meg Thee Stallion. And by the way, that is what these Roc Nation people want to do, right? Like, if they could sue me now and be like, yo, you can never talk about Jay-Z, of course they would want that. You know why? Because every time I'm exposing all the scummy shit he did, the niggas he finessed, all the weird shit in his history, they don't want that to be out there. That's why they keep trying to follow all these stuff. So if they could get a judge to ban me from talking about it, of course they would want to do it. So they're trying on a shorter level to see if they could do it. So they try to ban this Milagro girl from ever talking about Meg Thee Stallion. And the judge basically said, fuck off, both to Roc Nation and to Meg Thee Stallion, basically saying that y'all can't stop someone's First Amendment rights, the right to free speech. Not because, you think you have all this money. We don't give a fuck. The Constitution reigns supreme. So again, it was a motion for entry of a permanent injunction for cyber stalking. So they're considering Milagro, who's a blogger, who would be covering news stories. They're saying that she is cyber stalking if she mentions Meg Thee Stallion from now on. Basically, they want her never to talk about her because she doesn't like Meg Thee Stallion. You know what I mean? She's critical of her. She's whatever. So it says the court has reviewed both written submissions and the record and applicable law. And for the reasons, the motion is denied. Okay? They go through background, a bunch of background, and this is a really long response by the judge. Looked like the judge actually really looked at it. And it said the legal standard is that the courts have broad discretion deciding whether to award injunctive relief. And injunctive relief could be, banning someone forever talking about or contacting or whatever. And it said the standard for a permanent injunction is essentially the same for a preliminary injunction, except that the movement must show actual success on the merits based on the likelihood of success on the merits. Okay, upon prevailing on the merits, to obtain a permanent injunction, a plaintiff must demonstrate: 1, she suffered irreparable injury; 2, her remedies at law are inadequate; 3, the balance of hardships weigh in her favor; and 4, a permanent injunction would not disserve the public interest. Okay, now clearly number 4 is the thing that we're all going to care about. While Roc Nation and specifically Meg Thee Stallion seeks to try to suppress the voice of independent media members who might critique her, whether we think she got a big ass foot that looked like a hoof, whether we